lot of people think that leadership is many people are born, but I believe that leadership is built when you feel uncomfortable, when you feel that you don't belong.
Greetings, everyone. I am Yuvna Mishra. I would now like to give the mic to Badrat Biju Nair for the welcome note.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our distinguished guests and my fellow parliamentarians joining us from all around the world. I am Bhadra Biju Nair, a grade 10 student at Indian School Al Gubra, Muscat, Oman. On behalf of the World Teen Parliament, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome all of you to the 30th Masterclass of the 5th World Teen Parliament, themed Why Are Some Teens Built Different? And What Makes Some Teenagers Future Leaders? I would like to sincerely thank Blub World for creating opportunities that empower teenagers to learn, lead, and make a positive impact in the world. As young people, we often wonder what sets future leaders apart? Is it talent, intelligence, confidence, or something deeper? Today, we have the distinct privilege of learning from someone who embodies dedication, service, and true leadership in action. Our speaker, Member of Parliament Engineer Don Mustafa Long, is a remarkable leader whose journey reflects excellence and a deep commitment to public service. Through his work in engineering, governance, and community development, he has inspired meaningful change and continuously demonstrated the values of integrity, vision, and leadership. His experiences offer us invaluable insights into the exact qualities that empower young people to become responsible, impactful future leaders. As we begin the session, I encourage everyone to listen with curiosity, think boldly, and reflect on how each of us can develop the mindset and character needed to lead in our own communities. Thank you. Yuvna, the mic is all yours.
Thank you so much, Badra, for those thoughtful and inspiring words. Good morning, good evening, and a very good afternoon once again to everyone joining us from different parts of the world. I am Yuvna Mishra, a member of parliament at the 5th World Teen Parliament and also the founder and chairperson at the Global Youth Council from India. And it is my absolute privilege to serve as your session moderator for today's masterclass. Today, we have the honor of learning from an exceptional public servant and leader whose journey demonstrates the true meaning of leadership through service. Joining us today is Honorable MP Don Mustafa Long, Member of Parliament and Deputy Speaker at the Bonsamaro Transition Authority, Cotabato City, BARM, Philippines. Sir, thank you for accepting our invitation and for choosing to spend your valuable time with young leaders from across the world. So, before we begin today's session, we know that how incredibly demanding your schedule as a deputy speaker is. Before we dive deep into the end, we have to ask, what is it like looking at a room full of teenagers from across the world who are waking up early and staying up late just to learn from you today?
Thank you. It's inspiring for me to be speaking in front of many young people from all over the world, and in as one of a young teenager before, I feel that it is my distinct honor, privilege, and responsibility to share what insights I have learned through the years, which would have been beneficial if I had known that when I was still a teenager.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a wonderful to have you with us, and we are excited to hear your perspective. So, without any further delay, I would now like you to invite for today's executive deep dive on the theme why are some teens built different and what makes some teenagers the future leader? Sir, the floor is all yours. You can now just continue with your presentation.
So, good morning, young leaders of the world. Again, it's amazing to see you. And before I start, I just like to emphasize that you also try to look at the Zoom and look at the pictures in front of you, and you will see that right now we have future members of parliament. We have future leaders. We have future community leaders. We have future public and private servants with us, leaders in their own right. And while we still don't know who each leader is, I am sure that many of you will be leading in your communities. I was in your same situation before when I was young. I grew up in Mindanao, in Sulu, in a place where we are more known by newspaper headlines of conflict, of wars, of lots of violence when I was growing up. So I did not grow up in an environment where there was a lot of innovation or development. I grew up in a place where there was a lot of challenges. And I think that in itself had built in me the need to train myself to become a leader that can help my communities. How many of you have experienced that you feel like you would not really be able to make a dent in your communities? That your world is very small, that you are limited by your current situations and current mindset. Well, I was in the same stage, but however, those challenges in our communities, when you see your neighbors, your fellow men having a hard time, you realize that there must be something that must be done, especially if they are your relatives, your fellow men. And for example, you have attended this World Teen Parliament. The fact that you are attending this World Teen Parliament makes you in a higher stance compared to the others. And that being the case, it makes you have that opportunity and challenge to serve others. Well, a lot of people think that leadership is many people are born, but I believe that leadership is built, and especially in times when you feel uncomfortable, when you feel that you don't belong, when you feel that you still need to do more. So when you're a teenager and you feel that you are out of place, and you feel that there's so much challenges in your community, then those are indicators of possible leadership opportunities. So as I told you, when I was growing up, I was growing up in communities that had a lot of conflict. We didn't have roads. When I was young, we almost died because the vehicle that we were using almost turned turtle because the roads weren't very even. So even as a young lad, I wanted to really study, become an engineer, and hopefully go back to the community and be able to help. So well, I went to college. I felt that I was somebody from a rural area, and that I was quite disadvantaged. But actually, it turned out to become an advantage because when I studied in the premier university, the fact that I came from a very rural areas that is conflict ridden was the one that fueled my passion to really work hard, to really study. Imagine in first year college, your teacher will tell you, Mr. Don, why are the terrorists in your communities kidnapping people? As if I'm the one responsible or that I have to defend. But those kinds of things, if we take it positively, are the ones that transform and fuel our passion to work really hard. And for teenagers, whether you are in the same situation or I'm sure in your community there are challenges. If you are affected by challenges in your communities, then those are signs that it would lead you into leadership. To give a mnemonics, I want to cover it into the words leaders as we look at traits that are developed by teenagers that build them to become leaders. And I have also experienced this in my journey as a leader. Number one is learning relentlessly. If you're a teenager, at 18, I really had a difficult time studying. I was studying in the best university in the country, in the Philippines, but I came from the rural area, so I really couldn't compete with those who studied in private schools. I studied in a public school, and but my principle was, if it is something that it can be studied, I can use hard work to overcome that. And so if you're a teenager and you have that mindset that whatever challenge you have, you will overcome it, then it means you can become a leader. Imagine, because my background was weak, I used to attend a class 4 times a day on the same subject just to make sure that I get a very high grade in college. That's first year and second year college, so I was still a teenager. So but the concept of continuously learning, because I grew up poor, I don't have a lot of money. My parents were poor as well. But my concept was that if I really develop the mind, then it can make up for my lack of resources. And this is a big challenge for the young teenagers now, because there's just too much data, too much TikTok, too much social media, that we no longer dive deep into real knowledge and analysis. So if you're a teenager and you try to develop the focus, you go beyond social media, then those are signs of becoming a leader. Again, at 18, when I was almost gonna get failure marks from school, I read books and mastered books, which, one of that was the Covey book, Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits, because my concept was I didn't have any money resource. I was alone in the university, far from my parents. But if I get to talk to a lot of mentors through books, then I could overcome it. And that is why up to now, I still try to learn. And now I have 4 graduate degrees, and then it had helped me maneuver the real world as a leader. Second, embrace failure. There's a lot of teenagers that are perfectionists, but if you're a teenager and you failed and then you stood up, then those are signs that you will become a leader in the future, because the real world will really make you fail, will make you stumble. But if you learn early on as a teenager how to stand up after you fall, if your mindset is that after you fall, I will go up again, then these are signs that you will become a leader, because every failure will teach you how to do it better or how not to do it again. And that this is the challenge for other teenagers that are perfectionists, that they think that they must pass everything. But in truth, in life, life is unpredictable. You must really accept that failure is part of life, and being able to stand up after failure is one of the great lessons. And for me personally, I had experienced a lot of failures. Failures in school, failures in subjects, but I kept going. And that is one of the reasons why I graduated in the best university in the Philippines for civil engineering. And I was one of the first in my community, in my tribe, to graduate from there. But because of that mindset that I will not quit, I will not quit, because around 80% of the students there get kicked out. And that kind of virtue had lived with me. Number three, courage. Act with courage. After graduation and after working, I was offered to become the secretary of the Department of Public Works in our region, a very big department. But growing up and seeing a lot of firearms, a lot of conflict, and a lot of technically warlords in our community, I turned it down, but only to realize later on, after getting a mild stroke, that I almost died because I ate so much lobster and crabs and shrimps that I could actually die from eating. I realized that I have to dedicate my life to my community. And so in life, we must act with courage. And so teenagers, when you're exposed to dilemmas in life where you have to be more courageous, then those are elements that will lead you to leadership, to become a great leader. Because without risking anything, then you won't become a great leader. If you're just always working in your comfort zone, like for example, if you're a teenager and you just want to focus on studying, and you don't do extracurricular, you don't do sports, you don't do anything that would train you in other things, you don't make yourself uncomfortable, then those are weaknesses that you would lack to become a great leader. So courage is very important. The mountain doesn't care where you're from, and it is important that you really push through it. So when I was young, I was able to climb the highest freestanding mountain in the world, Kilimanjaro. And I didn't have any experience. It was the first mountain that I actually climbed. In fact, I used cotton shirts instead of the ones that your sweat would go out. But what helped me was the mindset again, mindset that I will keep on going. And if you're a teenager and you do visualization, imagine at grade 6, I was already writing. I already had a diary, and I would write my thoughts, and I would already make a vision. At grade 6, I was already telling myself that one day I will become an engineer. And then I already had a timeline even. I said at 20 years old, I'll be an engineer. At 23, I'll be a head engineer. At 26, I will become secretary of the DPWH in the region. At 30, I will be some legislator, congressman, or member of parliament. And I said at 50, I'll be a senator. At grade 6, I already wrote that in my diary. And I didn't reach the Senate part, but imagine I was able to accomplish. I became the secretary of DPWH arm, which was almost impossible at that age. And I also became a member of parliament for the past 6 years, which was impossible actually in that young age. But when you're a teenager and you visualize and you write things down, it kind of becomes your fuel, which would compensate even from where you studied. Because I had a lot of very rich, very rich schoolmates who studied in the best schools. But I was able to graduate, and a lot of them didn't. The difference between us was that I was studying for a purpose. I had a reason, because my communities were poor, conflict affected, and I felt that sense of responsibility we have different religions, but in each religion tells you that you have a responsibility for the next generation and to your community. And if you are in a more advantaged stage, then you have to pull them up. The fact that you are able to study, the fact that you are in the World Teen Parliament means that you are in a stage higher than many. In the Philippines, for every one graduate college, there are 100 that did not make it. So it gives a tremendous responsibility. But as teenagers, you must write it down. You must cultivate that burning passion for the reason, because all the challenges will be overcome if you have a strong enough reason. So like Kilimanjaro, on that night, I almost fainted. I almost did not make it on the 5th night of climbing because it was too cold. You know what I did? I visualized. My father and mother was calling me, don't come forward 10 more feet. Don't quit. Because quitting then would take 2 days of bringing me down from the mountain to the hospital. And it's the same difficulty. And that kind of visualization kind of worked until sunrise came in. So in your life as teenagers, it's very important to visualize, because whatever mountain you are facing, that source of power, whether it be religion, your parents, your loved ones, your friends, or even yourself, is a great motivator for moving forward. Number 4, discipline. Guard your time, your word, and your health. Because as young people, it is very important that we take care of the things. Growing up, my uncle was my strongest mentor, and he always told me, never lie even in the smallest things. Because if you lie in small things, you will lie in big things. And I will not trust you anymore in big things. And with that kind of principle, I followed that. And that is why even I became the youngest provincial administrator. At 27, I was already the head of office of around 500 employees. Imagine that. You have 500 employees and 95% of them are older than you. At 35, I was the one of the civil engineers that was heading the US Millennium Challenge Corporation for a 10 billion peso project. And most of them were like 60s and 70s, and I was still young. So the integrity, the health, and the time is very important. So if you're a teenager, practice that. If you are able to keep your word, if you are able to develop the trust, the character, then you can become a leader. Because if you're a teenager and you are not developing that code of honesty, if you build with your colleagues the trademark that your word cannot be trusted, then you cannot be a leader, because they will not believe you, and they will not follow you, and they will not believe your word. If you don't take care of your health, if you're a teenager and you start smoking, you start vaping, then you might not become a leader, because you might not grow old enough to become a leader. Time is very important, because you think teenagers, sometimes the world is very slow, but when you're a teenager, that is the most crucial part. 18 to 22, I think, is the most important year of your life. Because if you have invested that in your mind and developing skills, then you will become a leader at the age of 25. But if you waste your teenage years from 18, well, from 15 to 22, if you waste it, then life can become a large struggle. Number 5, empathize and communicate. Teenagers who are able to go to communities, we think that leaders are great speakers, but actually teenagers who are able to listen, who are able to have that empathy, who are able to relate with others, are signs of becoming a leader. And that is why you will see in different communities and generations. For example, a lot of leaders in the economic aspect, like the Chinese, for example, they always have that family dinners because in the family dinner, this is where you learn to listen. This is where you learn to listen and take your time and speak. That is why have that family dinner or with friends, for example, over soft drinks or well, soft drinks is not very healthy, over water. And the point is develop that ability to speak and then listen well, because when you want to become a leader, you will be relating with other people. But how can you become a leader if you do not know what is going on in the hearts and minds of others? The only way to become a leader is if you can be able to connect and understand what is in the mind and the heart of others. And it begins with your friends. It begins with your classmates. It begins with your family members, your parents. You can be with your parents, your sibling, your aunties for 10 years and still be shallow and still not communicate. But if you change your mindset and be able to listen to them, do follow-up questions, go deep dive, be genuinely interested, and remember their issues, you start with a few people and then you go to the communities. Then if teenagers who are able to develop that become great leaders, because as you grow and become older, then from a few individuals, then you can work on communities. You can listen to communities. You can understand and you can communicate with those communities. Number 6, resilience. As I mentioned to you, I grew up in an area of conflict, wars. My relatives has been warriors. We have been revolutionaries. A lot of my relatives died through fighting because they wanted development. So in spite of that, what we thought was that we have to improve things, and that I have to develop myself, because I realized that there's a lot of those who are trapped in poverty, that they are not able to develop themselves, trapped in their communities, and that to whom more is given, more is required. So as teenagers, the fact that you have internet access, the fact that you can have this World Teen Parliament, make you in a better position to be able to help others. So when you try to do things, when you do activities, or even in your studies, developing resilience is one of the key aspects of leadership, because this is where a lot of summa cum laudes and magna cum laudes and those perfectionists fails in the real world. In the real world, they fail because they always have that perfect world where everything is the perfect score, 1. But in the real world, no. In the real world, typhoons arrive, unexpected things arrive. And it is only those, again, who stand up and keep fighting and keep working and keep developing that become leaders. 7, serve your team. We cannot emphasize this enough. There's a lot of those who become very good students. They work alone. They get summa cum laude, magna cum laude. But in the real world, you'll see them working still in their own silo. But you will see great leaders, because great leaders work with others. And that's why even the academe, they now emphasize performance tasks, because it is very important you are able to work with teams. So even as teenagers, joining clubs, joining groups, joining civil society, NGOs, it's very good because you get to work with others. And these are the building blocks of future leaders. So to recap, as I had mentioned, you learn relentlessly. Those teenagers who act with courage, with discipline, with resilience, and able to serve their team. These are the the aspects that you would see if you want to know who can become leaders. But aside from this, you must remember there are three things though. Teenagers, remember that you must graduate. You must finish your course though, because private victory always precedes public victory. I had known in my lifetime a lot of very well-trained people, very outspoken, who good leadership skills, but who did not finish their degree. Remember, we have to have a minimum survival amount of money to survive in this world. If you don't have money to survive in this world and crisis comes, health, you won't even be able to pay for your house or transport, then you cannot become a leader. And so the minimum basic need is actually get a degree and get a livelihood, get a skill that will earn you income. Or number two, do business. You have to develop also that business acumen. So while number one, we develop ourselves, number two, we work in organizations to serve others, but the number three tripod is actually economic development. Even as teenagers, we cannot isolate the ability to create value. And when we say value, that is anything that allows you to earn income, allows you to have a stronger economic backbone. Because a lot of leaders fail. A lot of leaders are charismatic. A lot of leaders are able to communicate with others. But if you're a leader with no economic foundation, then that is where even in the basic human family block, you will fail. Because, for example, for Muslims, for male, you must be the one that will raise your family, support your children. Before you talk about serving the community, you must first be able to be you must first be able to be stable enough to support your own family. And beyond that, then you must develop the economic freedom for you to be able to keep helping others. And so as teenagers, even right now, then you look at the economic aspect of your leadership. That is why you will see a lot of business people who ultimately become leaders in their community, because that economic freedom allows them to have stronger influence. So while we do things about these virtues and these characters of learning relentlessly, embracing failure, act with courage, discipline, empathize, communicate, resilience, these are personal traits and virtues that we develop inside us, right? And working in organizations. But the invisible thing that you won't see here, but I want to emphasize based on my experience, is to develop that economic backbone. And as teenagers, you can start that by looking at things and that talks about entrepreneurship, innovation, selling stuff, adding value to something, so that even while you're studying, you're still earning also and being able to help your parents. So finally, the Fifth World Teen Parliament is already a parliament. You are already leaders. You are already in a group that allows you to influence. And so I congratulate you for being part of this, and I hope you got to get a few insights. But leadership is practice. The more you are able to practice leadership, the more you will be able to have that capacity to become a leader. In essence, when you're a teenager and you do things like sports, when you do sports and you lose sports every day, you play a game and then you lose, the next day you play again and then you win, those are developing resilience, daily resilience. When you become part of an organization, you organize stuff, you succeed, good. If you fail, good, but you learn things. When you are part of a debate, you are able to develop your skills in speaking. Those are part of the skills that ultimately lead there. If you're trying to do some entrepreneurship, even at a young age, then those are the building blocks of becoming a leader. And this fifth youth parliament, world parliament as well, is a network of leaders. And ultimately, it is this kind of network, if you are able to optimize it, that will help you. Some people ask, what benefit will I have in joining organizations? What benefit? Because you always want, what's in it for me? But the truth is, you will only gain the benefit as deep as you optimize how you get involved in it. So if you get involved in an organization, help organize, help doing financial report, help document, help convene, help conduct meetings, help conduct minutes of meetings, organize, then that in itself is the return of investment. That training that you are doing is the one that will make you leaders. So maximize this network and continue to practice all the things that is actually giving you skills and training that will ultimately become the building blocks of leadership. For example, right now, if you are the deputy speaker of the Bangsamoro Parliament for a day, what kind of thing would you pass? Those are things that even this World Teen Parliament can do. And as early as now, the fact that you're able to listen to a lecture like this gives you a lot of advantage. In closing, I'd like to close with 4 important C's. Number 1, courage. Do not become insecure. You know, even speaking takes courage. Even joining the World Teen Parliament takes courage. Even doing anything takes courage. So develop that courage, because courage only means that you have fear, but you overcome that fear. So for me, even as a teenager, I was already invited to speak in a lot of organizational meetings. And mind you, the fear I felt at 17, at 18, is the same fear I feel when I was going to prepare for speaking to you. It never ends. But that training that you do every day becomes the strand every day that develops it so that you could actually prepare, become more prepared. So when opportunity arrives, then you are ready. One time when I was offered to become the provincial administrator, it's like the little governor at 27 years old. A lot of them complained. He said he still doesn't have the experience to become the leader of a provincial government. But good thing I had developed my speaking skills. Good thing I was able to develop the ability to meet others and develop teams. Good thing that I was already able to organize a lot of activities. Good thing I already had the confidence to do that. And it was because as teenagers, I was already doing that. So opportunities can come, but it can only be absorbed by those who are ready. So teenagers who are already doing skills that are required for leaders will be able to grab on to the opportunities of leadership when it comes. Unfortunately, for teenagers who waste their time in social media, in TikTok, well, in fairness, communication via social media is also okay. But I mean, just scrolling mindlessly doesn't develop skills for future leadership. Then when the opportunity presents itself to you to become a leader, then it will slip past through your hand because that skill set was not developed. Number 2, competence. So you develop all the skill sets. You develop resilience through sports. You develop communication through debates, joining organizations, giving speeches. You develop the connection by serving others, being part of a group, and you develop credibility by showing up when you say so, by keeping your word, and by not lying even in the smallest detail. Because lying in the smallest detail means you can lie in the big things. And if you want to be trusted for big things, then you have to protect the small things. Be an example, be an encourager, be an enabler. Well, you are already leaders, and I wish you all the luck. And the question now is, you're a teenager and you still have 70 years in front of you. What will you do it? Will you keep on building those skills? Because the opportunity is like there. It appears from out of nowhere. And only if you have developed your grasping power can you be able to grab hold to that opportunity and then take the lead.
Thank you very much, sir. To be very honest, like the way you talk about mindset, relentlessness, discipline, persistence, that truly sparks a lot of curiosity and the drive to keep moving forward and learning, even being a teenager. That was truly engaging and thought provoking, sir. Your experience and practical thoughts have given us a plenty of knowledge to reflect upon. We will now move to the next segment of today's masterclass, the 59-second Q&A forum. This is one of the most interactive part of this masterclass, where our young delegates from around the world have the opportunities to ask questions to you directly. So before we begin, I would like to share quick guidelines to help us the most of this 59 seconds Q&A forum. So to every single teenager on this call, when your name is called out, please unmute yourself. Please introduce yourself by telling your name, grade, school, etc. And then directly proceed with the question. And as the part of the 59 question Q&A, our distinguished guests, please sir, this is a small request. Try to keep it to just 59 seconds so that, yeah, exactly, so that it's fair for everyone and everyone gets the chance to have their, thoughts in front of you and to learn from your experiences. So without any further delay, let's move on to the first question for today. I would now like to invite MP Devansh Kumar. MP Devansh Kumar, please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Greetings, sir. I am MP Devansh Kumar of Edgy International School, Rajasthan, India, and I'm a grade 11 student. So, my question is that history often remembers great leaders for the wars they won, but civilizations survive because of the institutions they built afterwards. So, when history judges the Bangsamoro transition, what do you hope it remembers of your generation of leaders?
Leaders in the Bangsamoro right now is the transition. It's the transition that ensures from the conflict to a regular government. Imagine 15 years ago there was war, 10 years ago there was negotiation, and for the past 6 years there was transition. The transition where we passed laws that created the government structure, that hired new people, that passed education laws, political laws, and doing political parties. So essentially, we laid out the foundation so that the regular parliament can move on and be able to function. And we will be having our first regular parliament election in September. So we hope to be remembered as the one that prepared the ground, prepared the fertile soil so that the forest can grow.
Sir, for answering the question. I would now like to invite Lodi Aisha Khan. Please unmute yourself and the floor is all yours.
Hello, sir. I'm Lodi Aisha Khan, a member of parliament from MS Creative School, Hyderabad, Telangana, India. And my question for today is, what truly shapes a teenager into a future leader? Natural talent, opportunities, or the choices they make every day? Thank you.
Thank you, Lodi. I think it is the combination of three. The things that they do every day, what you do every day makes you. What you do repeatedly becomes you. And that is why you choose who your friends are. You choose what circle or what activities you do, because ultimately that will become you and your environment. But I also believe that it is a decision. And so if you make a decision that this is what you want to become, then you can move forward to that. Because essentially we are not animals or that essentially works by instinct. We could actually think, we can decide, and we could move towards that. And we can create and build ourselves to be what we want to be. But essentially, the everyday things that you do, what you continue to do repeatedly becomes you.
Thank you very much, sir, for answering the question. I would now like to invite Vani Sharma. Please unmute yourself, and the floor is all yours.
Greetings. My name is Vani Sharma. I am an influencer of the Fifth World Teen Parliament and a grade 12 student of Indian School Al Gubra. My question is, do online algorithms create a new kind of popularity where a teen can be famous to strangers online but isolated at their physical school?
Hi, Vani. I understand your question to be there are those who are very popular online, but actually isolated in their individual communities. Is that correct? Yes. Well, there are pros and cons to that. They are developing skills to be able to communicate to the world. That is okay. But as long as they're not overly dependent on the likes and the shares, because there is such a thing as the law of diminishing returns. You will be happy with 100 likes today, but tomorrow you want more, and 200 likes and 1,000, 10,000. And especially those, for example, who depend on doing things to get more likes. So it is a downward spiral from then on. So it is important that they continue to develop themselves so that they create value and not just dependent on public perception or public feedback, because even the public has the law of diminishing return.
Thank you very much, sir. I would now like to invite MP Cheshta Kundan. Please unmute yourself, and the floor is all yours.
Hello, sir. My name is Cheshta Kundan, and I'm a student. I'm a year 11 student studying in Nehru College, Blacktown, Australia. And my question is, what is the difference between a person who gains attention quickly and a person who leaves a lasting impact on society?
I understand your question is about a person who gets the attention but disappears, and people who makes an impact in this world. Well, it's about adding value. We are born for a purpose, and whatever purpose you do, if you add value to the world, then you will be remembered multi-generationally, because your impact is multi-generation. But for example, you became popular in TikTok and social media for making people smile and laugh. But again, the law of diminishing return, people get bored and they want it's the nature of human beings for change and novelty. So if you want to be remembered intergenerationally, then you must build things that last intergenerationally.
Wow, sir, that is truly inspiring. Thank you very much. I would now like to invite Srivastava Arjun. Please unmute yourself. The floor is all yours.
Good evening, sir, and esteemed guests, and faculty, and everyone else present. So, sir, my question is, what is one skill that every teenager in 2026 must develop so that by the time they're in their 20s, the world can accept them as future-ready leaders?
Well, I mentioned a lot of skills, but right now in your day and age, I think you in this era of AI, then master all the AI so that you can stand on the shoulder of giants, while old people would start to start from scratch. If you master all the AI topics, and with this generation able to navigate the technology, then you will be able to save a lot of time and then be even more efficient than the older generation. And so when you're in your 20s, you'll be able to do multiple times more efficient than those using the analog system.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we'll move to the lightning round of today's session, which is actually a rapid fire round. So, sir, my question to you is, if your younger self met you today, what one phrase would you say to you to get fitter or expected more, or dude, who are you?
Yeah, well, maintain being fit, because I had grown to be fat and then thin again, fat and thin again. So keeping that fit. But number two is to develop really the economic base. Because if you want to help more people, then it's better to have more resources and more freedom.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And what about, like, what do you love the most? Comfort food, deep books, or like late night cartoons, or something else?
Between the three, comfort books, food, and well, I like food. But since I've been dieting, my food choices have been limited. But I like to build things, and I love nature, and I like to watch the sea and the sunset and take adventures.
Thank you very much, sir. That was really fantastic hearing from you. So, as the time limitations, seeing the time limitations, we will now move forward to the closing remarks. I would now like to invite the person who, Cheshta Kundan. Please, Cheshta, unmute yourself, and over to you for the closing remarks.
Oh, thanks, Yuvna. Hello, everyone. I'm Cheshta Kundan from Negle College, Blacktown. On behalf of everyone at the World Teen Parliament, I would like to thank Member of Parliament Mr. Loong for choosing to spend this beautiful evening with a bunch of teens who are eager to make a difference. We came in looking for advice, and we are living with purpose. By tackling the big question of what makes teenagers future leaders, you gave us the ultimate blueprint of standing out and stepping up. Tonight, you reminded us that being built different isn't about being perfect, but it's about standing up, serving others, and having the courage to lead even more, even when it's hard. Hearing from a real deputy speaker who is out there making decisions, serving people, and breaking barriers made future leader made a law made it law made it less like a title and a lot more like a responsibility that we can start living today. From all of us at World Team Parliament, thank you for your time, your heart, and for making us believe that we can start leading now. We're truly honored. Over to you, Yuvna.
Thank you very much, Cheshta. So, sir, before we conclude today's session, I would now like you to just share one final message that you would like every single teenager who has joined us on the call to just keep with themselves for like months, even after this
One
call
time-
ends.
One time I was offered to become the secretary of the DPWH arm, a very big position. And I said no, because I feared that I could not do it, and that there were so many warlords to work on. And so I worked in another community, building roads for them. And I ate a lot of shrimps, prawns, and crabs and lobsters. And because of that, I had a mild stroke. And in that night that I was dying, I felt I was going to die because I could no longer breathe. I was like having a heart attack. I told myself, I studied in the best university. I developed all my skills. And right now I am dying. And if I die here tonight in a strange community, nobody would cry for me. Nobody would actually feel sad, because I had given my talents and my time to another community. It was then that I said, oh God, could you give me an extension? I will go back to my community and serve there, and change and uplift lives there, so that when my final time that God will take me back, then at least somebody will cry, 1, 2, 3 in that community, because they knew that I had devoted my life for improving the lives of the people whom I love the most.
Thank you very much, sir. Our deepest gratitude to you once again for joining us today and sharing so much with us, teenagers, and to all the participants joining us. Thank you for your curiosity and active participation. This concludes the 30th Masterclass of the World Teen Parliament. On the behalf of the entire World Teen family and every single teenager, thank you for joining us. Until then, keep
Thank you.
learning, keep leading, and keep making a difference. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye.